secondary weapons in Warframe right now aren't exactly doing all that great. But you wouldn't know that by looking at this beautifully crafted Orokin secondary weapon, the Pandero Prime. And today, my friends, we're going to be diving deeper into it. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable that most Tenno should be able to build, and a couple of variations on it. But of course, we also got the endgame set up with Prime mods, Rivens, the works. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player-friendly approach. I like to take my time and explain whatever I feel is necessary for newer players. So, in case you're a veteran and you already know most of the stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Pandero Prime. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Pandero Prime is a beautifully crafted hit-scan secondary weapon with a semi-automatic trigger, and this one has an emphasis on heavy caliber bullets, similarly to the Lex Prime. And also like the Lex Prime, this one kicks like a mule. Observe the recoil on this one. It's pinpoint accurate, exactly where you'll point, that's where you'll hit, but you do gotta contend with the recoil. Thankfully now on secondary weapons and primary weapons, we got a weapon XL slot that we can put on some minus recoil. Now, this would be maximum rate of fire on primary fire mode. And again, it kind of climbs up to the upper right portion of the screen, but the Pandero Prime also has a very interesting secondary fire mode. You can fan the hammer for your cowboy fantasy and all whatnot. You guys like westerns? I used to like, but anyway, that's not the point. What is the point? Secondary fire mode fans the hammer, so essentially it releases whatever bullets you had left in your magazines. For example, if I have 4, it's just gonna quickly rapid fire 4. If I have 8, it's gonna quickly rapid fire 8. If you mod for magazine capacity, go to something like 16, it's gonna empty the entire magazine, but you can interrupt it if you roll. Okay, so it is interruptible. But again, the recoil kicks like a mule and it's very hard to control. Not impossible without that minus recoil, so if I was gonna fight my mouse, it would be something like this. I kinda got most of the bullets in the same section, but I wouldn't call it exactly accurate for the most part. Now, let's have a comparison between the Pandero Prime and the regular Pandero, just so we can see what the developer actually buffed, or did they? So, Pandero, there we go. That one had 7 forma. Accuracy 16.0, but again, it is pinpoint accurate for the most part. Critical chance is the same. Critical multiplier, the same. Fire rate, the same. Magazine, the same. Noise alarming, same reload. And here is where the buffs start. The status chance got a big buff from 10% all the way to 24%. Pity about no extra critical stats. At least something symbolic like 2% and 0.2 on the multiplier would have definitely been appreciated, and trust me, it wouldn't have made the weapon overpowered. Here's the second buff and the biggest buff from my point of view, the damage increase. We're looking at a 45% damage increase. That's huge. The layout remains the same, which is a bit of a pity. I can always hope for no impact like ever on anything, but there you go. The damage is across the board about 45-ish%, and of course the same will go for the secondary fire mode. There's really no difference between primary fire mode and secondary fire mode outside of the accuracy for obvious reasons, and of course the fire rate as well. Now, mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your Pandero Primes comes with only 30 out of 30, jump into actions, plug in that Orokin catalyst, double that mod capacity. Is it worth it? Well, do you like heavy caliber bullets? Do you like the whole Deagle experience? If so, then yes, definitely. Do you just care about efficiency? Do you just want the biggest numbers and the most powerful weapons? Then no, it's not worth it. Hopefully that answers your question. How many forma though? 6 forma in my Pandero, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you guys, you can get away with something like free maximum of 4. Keep in mind that the Pandero comes with 1 default V polarity, but also here in the weapon XL slot or Plexel slot also comes with a V, and what you want to put here is definitely steady hand, so 100% unlock the weapon XLS or Plexel slot. You need this mod here. It makes the weapon so much more manageable. I highly recommend it. Now, let's check out a standard build. And we got damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Barrel Diffusion, as well as Lethal Torrent, critical chance and critical damage between Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker. Now, of course, if you fine gentlemen or ladies have Prime mods, go straight for Prime mods. Are a consideration for newer players which do not have Prime mods or they don't have a maxed out just yet. Initially, we're going to be testing with normal mods, then we're going to switch to Prime mods so you have a good comparison point. And one Pistol Pestilence, a single 60/60 mod, what gives? Well, these mods should be present on basically most, if not all, Pandero Prime builds. The final two mods will decide the actual build. Let's first go for meta. Meta right now in Warframe is viral together with Slash. The weapon does have a high amount of Slash, the highest, but unfortunately we no longer have the 4x IPS rule in Warframe. That was removed in February of 2020 if I remember correctly. So, we're gonna go for viral with the 60/60 cold mod. And this one is gonna be Frostbite. I also encourage Ice Storm. It gives you some magazine capacity, and if you enjoy fanning the hammer, steady hands, extra magazine capacity from this, and you can just make viral like so. Is it a more powerful build than the one with the 60/60? No. Is it a more fun build? Subjectively, yes. So, there you go. In the final slot, this is what I like to call an option slot. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with. Some of you still believe that adding plus IPS to these weapons is beneficial, and on some cases, very rarely, it actually is. This is not one of those cases. I already demonstrated this in my regular Pandero review. Link in the cards right now if you want to see that one. Long story short, MAME, it's not worth it. Instead, why don't you go for a little bit more crit chance? And I'll explain why that is. More crit chance with hydraulic crosshairs. Now this one, 135 critical chance when aiming for 9 seconds. With the standard pistol gambit, I'm on 66. When this one kicks in, I'm going to 106%. So guaranteed crits on all your bullets, but as long as you're aiming. Meaning what? Meaning that fanning the hammer will not get you that critical chance. If you're gonna get a headshot while fanning the hammer, you will have the buff active, but you cannot enjoy that critical chance if you're not aiming, and you cannot aim while fanning the hammer. This is still a very solid option because from my point of view, getting guaranteed crits is huge in Warframe, at least when it comes to primaries and secondaries. So initially, like so, make sure that Trinity doesn't have anything to skew the test results like corrosive projection and all whatnot. No companion, and we're gonna be spawning in the level 120 corrupted heavy goons as per the usual. Initially, I'm gonna go shot by shot so you can see the damage and the procs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into this corrupted heavy goon level 120. I got 2 slashes, 5 arrows, more than enough to kill off a target like this one. The problem is, sometimes you're not gonna get the procs you want, and if you don't get the slash procs on your target, you simply don't have that killing capability. For example, I can put 8 bullets into a target. I don't know if this RNGesus will cooperate, definitely not. You can put 8 bullets in a target and not get a single slash proc. If that happens, you're not gonna kill off your target. But as you can see, most often you will be getting everything you need to kill off a high level target, and this would be rapid fire. Take a look at that. I got 5 slashes, 5 arrows, completely annihilated that target. Here's the thing though. When it comes to the secondary fire mode on the Pandero Prime, this is normally used up close, right? The targets got close to you, maybe they crowd control you and you want to use Fan the Hammer to completely blow them away. But if I'm in melee range, there's very little reason for me not to pull out my big melee and just, you know, swish, swish twice and kill the entire room. Thankfully though, buffs to primary and secondary weapons are on the way, and a slight nerf to melee according to the dev. If you still don't know what's going on, look at the cards right now for basically a summary of that. The performance of the weapon isn't anything to write home about, let's be honest here. And again, there will be times when you simply don't get the procs you want. RNGesus be with us all. Something you can do though is go for another 60/60. I love crit as much as the next guy, and I love my guaranteed crit, but keep in mind that when you're fanning the hammer, this doesn't really help you. So we can go for the heat mod, Scorch 60/60, just make sure you get the right combo. So right now, we have Viral together with Heat, and we're gonna get some slash procs. It's gonna be more than enough to kill off these targets. If you're more of a status person, and in this meta I totally get it, you can go for an approach such as this one, two. Oh, the heat, by the way, will add some nice damage over time. Depending on how many you stack it, it's gonna be real nice damage. And of course, it will remove some of that armor from these corrupted heavy goons. I believe a build like this is a bit more consistent when it comes to procs. Even though that without crit, it feels a little, well, with less crit, it feels a little bit less exciting. I want my big, heavy caliber bullets to crit. Please, dear D. It works with a fantasy and all whatnot. When it comes to fanning the hammer, at least that 60/60 mod does actually help with fanning the hammer. So there is that to keep in mind. There you go. That's what you can expect out of the weapon. Now let's say I'm going down to Deimos. Well, if I'm going down to Deimos, hit is not bad for me, but unfortunately viral isn't really gonna do me much good. So instead of viral with heat, you can go with corrosive. Corrosive with heat or corrosive with some additional crit. So that's what we're gonna be doing next. Should have kept that 60/60 toxin mod though. Corrosive. Jolt is only brought by Barokithir the Void Trader. Every couple of months he brings the 60/60 electricity mods. But in more newer events, apparently he doesn't bring all of them together. So when you see him bring Jolt, make sure you grab it because you cannot farm it from the game. Only he brings Jolt and Voltaic Strike. If not, you can buy it right now from the trade chat, but prices vary depending on when Battle brought Jolt last time. So there you go. Try not to pay too much for it. So we go with corrosive and heat. In this specific test, because these corrupted heavy gunners are equipped with ferrite armor, as you can see, they take those free extra pluses. That means 25% per plus, right? So from puncture they take 50% extra damage, and from the free pluses that's 75% extra damage. That is corrosive, which is why in this case it's extremely effective, or should be. 1, 2. No slashes. I'm not gonna count on slashes to kill off my target. What I'm trying to do now is basically kill off a target with raw force. And so as you can see, without the procs, it becomes a little bit difficult. But you can absolutely blow a target away, as you can see. Again, with any crit weapon, go for a headshot. You get that bonus multiplier, which is all important. Some weapons in Warframe had it even removed. For example, the Arca Plasma, because it's so easy to get a headshot with that one, right? You just aim slightly above their heads and you get headshot on everybody. And let's fan the hammer. Take a look at that. If I was going down to Deimos, I would definitely build heat and corrosive or heat and crit, depending on the situation and of course, depending on your own personal preferences. Unfortunately, the performance of the weapon is simply not all that high, nor could it be. Not on this platform of a weapon, not on this architecture type of a weapon, and not in this current meta. But we can still spruce it up just a little bit with Prime mods, right? So we're gonna go with Prime Target Cracker and Prime Pistol Gambit. If you're a newer player in Warframe and there ever comes a choice between these two, prioritize Target Cracker over Pistol Gambit. Eventually you will have to get both, and you get them from Barokithir or the trade chat. And since we're going crit, let's drop Scorch and go for even more crit. This doesn't really even make sense, but I like more crit, so let's do it. One more time. Corrupted heavy gunners, and then we're gonna be talking about Riven Mods. This is what I like to do with guns like this, shot by shot action. This is what is most satisfying to me, you know? Maybe I'm hiding behind a pillar because I'm playing a super squish Warframe and I want to get that all important headshot, and when I do, I want that goddamn target to do a backflip and disintegrate. That's what I want from my PvE game, please, dear Digital Extreme. At least to me, that is satisfying and that is rewarding. This is a hit scan weapon, so it shouldn't be that difficult to get your headshot. Oh, beautiful. You see how that health bar melted there? Really nice. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on your aim and on your RNG. Well, my friends, I think it's time to talk about Riven Mods. The performance increase of the Prime mods is significant, so 100% go for them if you have them. When it comes to Rivens, I never really recommend Rivens for Dispo 1 weapons, unless there's a cool gimmick we can enable or something like that. New weapons in Warframe get that Dispo 1. So actually getting a Riven which is worth slotting on the weapon is gonna be quite difficult. I have this one as a loaner from a friend. Critical damage, multi-shot and damage. It's really good. It's very powerful with minus projectile flight speed. Considering the weapon is hit scan, that negative is harmless. you could do better. You could go minus impact and reduce the chance of impact proccing at a cost of a very small amount of damage to your target. It is important to get minus impact, especially for the Pandero Prime. The problem is, even if I was to get minus impact, it's only gonna reduce what? I don't know, 30%, 20% of it because of Dispo 1. I think I'm gonna need Dispo 2 or 3 to reduce, to have the possibility of a minus 100% IPS. So bear that one in mind. Still, a Riven such as this is worth slotting. On the other hand, a Riven such as this is gonna cost you a whole lot of plat. And for Dispo 1 out of 5, it's certainly not worth it. So bear that one in mind. I never want you guys to feel like I'm telling you, hey, go buy a Riven. If I say go buy a Riven, it really needs to be a good reason. And this is definitely not good enough. Just a couple of shots to absolutely annihilate the high level target with the same corrosive build as before. I prefer corrosive. I'm the kind of guy that prefers, you know, to blow up a target when you shoot, especially with what is supposed to be high caliber bullets. Fan the hammer. Quite satisfying, yes. If I would kill my target, it would be even more satisfying than before. And there's one last thing that I can do to spruce up this weapon, to add even more power to it. Lady Mirage Prime or Lord Harrow. In this case, because I want to give the weapon as much power as I can, we're gonna go with Mirage Prime. We're gonna quickly go over her buffs that she brings to the table. Not all of them, but some of them. Let's go like so. I like this fashion frame a bit more than the other one. I need to update the fashion on Mirage, but I just didn't have the time. Corrosive projection against enemies which have armor is the meta way. You shouldn't feel forced into it. Simply use the aura that you like for your build. Playing more comfortably in Warframe, from my humble point of view, is more important than being efficient. Being efficient leads to let's quit because I'm bored. But anyway, when it comes to arcanes, Arcane Rage is not gonna do anything for you. Instead, go for Arcane Precision. Now this one, my friends, free 100% damage to pistols for 18 seconds, a 100% chance on headshot. Do you know you can actually not get an activation with a 100% chance? It's a story for another time. Arcane Avenger R5, from my humble point of view, the most powerful offensive arcane in Warframe. This one is a non-damage trigger, 21% chance, 45% critical chance for 12 seconds, but the beauty of this one is bonus additive after, simply stacking on top of what you already have. It doesn't really matter what is the base critical chance of the weapon, you get that 45% to your primary, to your secondary, and to your melee at the exact same time, so it's absolutely sensational. No Sentinel Vigilante mods tricks, because this is a secondary weapon, not a primary weapon. Level 155. Corrupted Heavy Goon. Since we are using Warframe buffs, essentially this is cheating. This is cheating! Definitely. Activate Mirage's Empower ability, then her fantastic free ability for an absolutely huge damage increase. One more time, Empower and her ever so lovely clone. And this is how I like to play. If I'm gonna play a gun like this, this is what needs to happen. And not just because of Mirage. I want to go shot by shot, and if I do manage not to screw up the headshot, I want to completely annihilate the target. I want to blow it to a million bloody pieces because I managed to get that headshot with a high caliber weapon. Now let's do the fan the hammer and all whatnot, and let's draw some conclusions to the Pandero Prime. My friends, in all honesty, I want to give kudos to the designers, the subjective part of these guns. They look beautiful. My god, the Pandero Prime is fantastic. Hopefully I can do it justice in the thumbnail. It's so beautiful. But the power is simply not here. Nor could it be here in this current meta. Not the Pandero, not the Lex, not the Aklex, not the anything. Guns like this, of this specific architecture type, have no place in this meta, except in the hands of the players that play for fun, that play for feel, and don't feel the need to go against super high level targets. I'm not criticizing. There's players and players. There's players that go super high level and try to test their steel, that's fine. And there's players that simply go through the game enjoying playing with their friends, playing whatever missions, sorties, and so on and so forth. That's also fine. What I'm basically trying to say is that I'm sad that this weapon is not more powerful than it is. It's the latest primed secondary weapon. It looks the part. It doesn't really sound the part. It kind of sounds like a BB shooter. But it definitely looks the part. And it's the latest prime weapon. And you know what? I farmed it. myself. I built it, I rushed it, and I'm rewarded with the latest Prime weapon that basically can compete in high-level content. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to go. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, on more subjective terms, here's what I would have done with the Pandero Prime. Outside of the numbers, okay, increase critical chance, increase critical damage, increase status chance, fine. What I would have done is Prime weapon, something special, if at all possible. How's about a cool gimmick? Once upon a time, D used to do this. Piranha Prime has that ethereal piranha. Now, that gimmick is not super usable in high-level content because you're not gonna kill 1,000 targets one after the other, but still something like that, something to differentiate the Prime on a functionality level, not only on a cosmetic level. Something cool to make it even more special than it is. Or at least that's my 2 cents on it. And of course I would have made a bigger magazine and a slightly faster reload. Now, you know what? Never mind the reload. But please double the magazine. That would have been amazing. And that's pretty much it, my friends. The Pandero Prime is definitely a cool looking weapon. Fine, subjectively cool looking. It lacks in the power department when it comes to high level content. But you know what? Not every weapon needs to be an quote-unquote endgame weapon. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any feedback for me, by all means, drop it in the comment section down below. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.